All right, perfect. So we are live. We got the legendary Buddy McGirt with us. Buddy, first and foremost, man, thank you so much for making the time. I know you're abroad right now. You got a lot on your plate. I appreciate you a ton. You are the man. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Now, first of all, I know you've been in Portugal for a little while. What's it like in Portugal? What's going on there?
Well, I'm here working with Dylan White. It's hot, and if you're a beach person, it's fabulous because you're right on the beach. It's a beach town, and it's an old town, but a beach town, and the people are great. And it's just every night, there's always something going on the boardwalk. But we train at night, so I and it's just too hot for me, man. I'm just like, nah, that's all right.
You've been doing this for a long time, buddy. Is it hard for you to reacclimate for training camps when you go, all over the world and new places?
Nah, not at all. You know, um, Sometimes like you get some guys that try to get you in camp, and then when they get you there, uh, they try to change the rules of the game. You know what I mean? And so sometimes you got to check them and be like, no, 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 no. You see what a lot of these people, don't really understand is that I've been in this professionally since I was 18 years old. I am now 61. So, and I had the craziest manager in boxing, but I learned a lot from him because he never held back. He always told it like it was. He didn't give a shit if he exposed people. He didn't care. So I learned. I just sit back and watch. I mean, I've sat in his. He used to do a lot of. He used to do all of his business really in his tailor shop. He was a tailor. So I used to hear him on phones with promoters, managers, making deals. I just be sitting there, just soaking it all in as time goes on, just listening, and then sometimes he have meetings. I sit and I listen. So I know more than these people think I know. So when
Yeah.
they try to run the bullshit on me, I'm like, nah, it's not happening there, champ. I mean, it's not happening. I tell some of these guys, I've been in this before you were born. So don't come here and tell me how the game goes because at the end of the day, I know how the shit goes. So, but other than that, I don't get any problems at all.
I was kind of, as you're saying that, it made me think of something. I actually just had a chance to speak with Abel Sanchez, and I didn't realize what an advantage it is that if you want to train with Abel, you have to go up onto a mountain in California, and
Yeah,
he controls everything. Is
right.
there any? Is it more difficult to kind of move around? Where it's a
No,
place where you control
you
less
want to know.
factors.
You want to know why? Because I've been blessed in the sense that when I come to camp with these guys, wherever we're at, I'm the boss. I mean, they give me the steering wheel and say, okay, you the boss. Whatever you want, you got. Because the first time that if it changes, I just go home. I was abroad once working with a fighter, and there were some other people in his camp that wanted to make all these changes, and I just said, listen, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. Just send me home. I'll go home. And he's like, what do you mean? I says, what they want to do with you is no good there, champ. But if that's
Yeah.
what you want, then I respect it. Go ahead. And he goes, nah, I brought you here. You stay, they going. I said, you don't have to do that. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, I didn't bring you here for this bullshit. He said, I brought you here to take control. I said, okay. And bam. And everything was great after that. So I really, I've been fortunate in the sense that the guys that I work with, what I mean. But I pretty much fill that out before I even go. I mean, to see what to expect. But sometimes, it's not always perfect. Sometimes you get somewhere and you get some people that say, okay, he's here now. Let's make the change. And it's like, wrong answer. I'll go home. I got no problem going home. I let them know I have no problem getting on the plane going home, man.
You know what's crazy? I was talking to somebody who had a job interview the other day, and about like 10 minutes in, they just didn't like the vibe, they didn't like the feel. And so 10 minutes into the job interview, they go, hey, thanks, but no thanks, I'm done. The person goes, what do you mean? And they go, I don't want this job. I'm sorry, after talking to you, I realized I don't want any part of this. I'm done. And they walked. There's a certain level of power in being able to walk away from something. and say
You know,
like, hey, no matter what it is, you can walk.
yeah, exactly. And you know, it's just sometimes it's just like I tell any fighter before we even decide to hook up, let's spend a couple of days together training, dinner, see if we vibe. Because we might vibe at a fight, we might vibe in the street, but we might not vibe in the gym.
Yeah.
We might not be able to vibe every day for a month or for 5 weeks. So before we put ourselves in that position, how about we just go a couple of days and see how it goes? And if it doesn't work out, there's no hard feelings. We gave it a shot. We're better off as friends, and just keep it moving. And I wish you the best. So that's what I always tell guys. Guys like, yo, I want you to try. So before we do that, let's spend a couple of days together. You might not like me. You might see a side of me and be like, hold up, man. I can't stay 5 weeks with this guy, and vice versa. So I like to test the waters before I jump in them.
Very smart. And so, like, let me ask you this: what do you think is the number one thing? I'll start on one side and then the other. So, what's the first thing a fighter would notice in you that would be for them like, I don't want to do this, that you've seen in your time?
Well, you know, I'm very old school in my training ways. I stand by them. Sometimes guys come to me with ideas, and I look at them like I said, and I tell guys, I know that people say, "Oh, buddy, you're old school. You should change." Kind of change sometimes, but sometimes, I see a guy like his conditioning coach have him doing something, and I'm like, "Can you tell me how that's going to help him between rounds 8 and 12?" If you can tell me how it's going to help him, I'm all for it. But if you can't tell me how it's going to help him, why the fuck is he doing it?
Absolutely.
You know what I
That's
mean? So,
not uncommon.
you know what I mean? So, you get these guys sometimes they have fighters doing things, and it's like, I'm like, I was with a fighter once in camp, and he said, buddy, when I was trying to meet my conditioning guy, I got a new conditioning guy, and I went and I met the guy, and this motherfucker had muscles in his ears. So I looked at the fight, I said, you sure you want to work with this guy? Because what are you talking about? I said, there's no way in hell that's all natural. This motherfucker's on something, man. I said, so be careful whatever he gives you. Oh, buddy, man, you shouldn't be talking like that. I said, listen, man. I said, look at that guy. I said, just look at him. He's like, yeah. I said, you're going to tell me that's natural? That's not fucking natural, bro. I don't give a fuck if he did 50 years in prison. That's not natural. And
Yeah,
what happened after the fight?
he popped. I don't know who it is, but I'm assuming he pops. You know,
Yep. And
it's
then he's like,
crazy.
he's
Yeah.
like, nah, buddy, it's not true. I said, homeboy. I said, listen, you don't know what these guys are giving you, man. You don't know. You know what I mean? You listen. This is how I see it. I don't knock it. You know what I mean? Because for some fighters it works. But this is my thing. Where was these guys at in the 50s and 60s when they was fighting 15 rounds? Nobody never tested positive for anything. Never, never had that. Never had that problem. So now all this stuff is coming up. Like, come on, man. You know what I
That's
mean?
it's crazy you say that because literally, Abel said the exact same thing. He goes, "You gotta." He goes, "The biggest reason I want to control my whole camp is I don't know who these people are, and I don't trust that the fighters know who they are." And he made a remark. He goes, "If you look at Reynoso, everyone's blaming him because everyone's popping." He goes, "What probably happened is some guy who does nutrition or strength and conditioning came into with another guy, and before you know it, everybody's taking this stuff." And I honestly don't even believe that the fighters are taking it thinking like, yeah, I'm going to cheat. They just don't know. They're getting handed something. They trust a guy. And that guy
And they
probably doesn't
feel
know
weird.
because, you know,
I've had guys say, buddy, if the guy takes this, and if he stops taking it before the fight, I said, man, listen, no. With
yeah,
today's technology, no. Because they know what to look for. All the other shit don't matter. They looking for that one specific thing. you think they're not going to detect. So why even do it? I says, again, how is that going to help you in the fight when the guy's whooping your ass? You know what
Agreed.
I mean?
So what? Let's look at the other side then. So that's the things that guys may see with you, where they go, I don't know if I want to move forward. What do you see in a fighter after those 2 days? You get to know him, you work in the gym. What are things you've noticed that you say that's not going to work?
His work ethic and his willingness to learn. I tell them, you don't have to do it the same way I do it. The key is to get the same result. I mean, but you get some guys, you tell them what they're doing, they're like, yeah, I know, I know. Well, if you know, why the fuck you doing it? You know what I mean? If you know, why are you doing it? And if you know, why am I here? You know what I mean? So, I keep it simple. I believe that if you tell a fighter to do something, you got to be able to show them. If you can't show them, what good is it? If you show them, if you do it right, what the result is. If you do it wrong, what the result is. But if you can't show them and look like a professional while you're showing them, who are you bullshitting? Yourself or the fighter?
So are you when you say you have to show them, you mean you literally showing them how to throw a
If a,
combination,
if
or
a
them
guy's
using it?
if a guy's hitting the bag, I'll ask the guy to set the bag up for this combination, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" I said, that's your opponent, so you want to set him up to do this. So show me how you would do that." And they look at me like, I don't get it. They'll just throw the combination. I'm like, no, get it in position where you can throw the combination. And then when you get done, you have an escape route. You're just not standing there waiting for a receipt. But the guy's like, well, shit, man, can you show me? Yeah, I'll show you. And I get it and I showed him. I said, now you don't got to do it the same way I do it, but let's get the same result. At the end of the combination, you got to be going east instead of west. I mean, you can't do the combination and keep going west. You got to figure out how you're going to go east. And the only way you're going to figure that out is by setting the guy up so that you have an exit. You know what I mean?
So so you're giving them essentially what the outcome is you're looking for. They can use their own skills because they're all going to be a little bit different. They're more
Exactly.
comfortable with one step than another.
I say,
Have you ever had?
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But no,
You
I was
get
just
ready to
going to
say,
say.
have I ever had a what?
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever had a fighter tell you, "Hey, I like to do it this way"? It's kind of
Yeah,
contradictory to you, and you go, "Hey, that's actually I just learned something from the fighter."
all the time. So I said, okay, you could do it that way, but you got to figure out how you're not going to get hit with this shot. By doing it that way, how you going to do it without getting hit with this punch? That's the whole purpose of doing it. So if this was works for you, let's make it work for you. Let's figure out how we're going to make it work for you.
Got you. Coming up, I'm sure you've been asked this a bunch of times, but coming up as a fighter yourself, and like a really successful fighter, how much do you think that helps you to train fighters now versus, and I'm not trying to knock the other guys, but guys who, there's a lot of great
A
trainers
lot.
who never boxed.
A lot, because sometimes you can see certain things that other people can't see, and you see it because you've been there. It's happened to you. So you can see it. You can tell by the body language. You know what I'm saying? You can say, okay, um, this ain't working for him. Or if when he's training, you're like, okay, he's not having a good day. So I'm gonna let him get one good round and then I'm gonna stop the workout. Gotta finish on a good note. So if he has a half-ass decent round, boom, you stop it. That's it. Go home. What's the matter, coach? Go home. I mean, but
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta wait and say, okay, now he's having a good round. Let's get through this round good. And as soon as he gets to a good, stop the workout, bam. Because you know the next round might not be good. You gotta know what to look for.
Yeah.
And if you've been there, you can detect it quicker.
Do you also, I'm assuming too, you can probably tell if a guy's more or less hurt, right? Like
Oh,
there are
well,
sometimes,
the body language, without a doubt, you can see it. You know what I mean? And there's guys, no, I'm good. No, you're not.
yeah.
I mean, no, you're not. I mean, and so you just really got to study your fighters, plural, every day. every day you got, to me, I can't speak for anybody else. You study them every day. When they walk in that gym, you see their mood. You watch them while they shadow boxing. You watch their body language do everything. And then you say, okay, this motherfucker's not going to be on point today. So now, at that point in time, you got to change your workout before he gets ready. And then you're going to say, well, look, I was going to box X amount of rounds today, but now we're not going to do that. We're just going to box a couple because there's some things I want to work on. But in reality, it's nothing you got to work on. You're just saving them from having that bad day. And
Is that all to?
sometimes they come in and they're complaining, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Don't worry. That's when they have a good day. But if they're not complaining, but you can see it, then it's different. I mean, because sometimes they don't want to spar, so they start bitching. Be like, no problem. So I tell them, okay, listen, do this for me for 3 rounds, 4 rounds, and we call it a day. Then they get in a groove, and all right, coach, I'm okay, I can do a couple more. So sometimes you got to play mind games with them.
It's all a lot like parenting, man. You
That's
want your kid
exactly
to do something. Yeah, you
that's
don't tell them, hey, I need you to do this. You kind of
that's
get them to figure it
exactly what
themselves.
it's like raising kids all over again. Because the bigger they are in the boxing world, the more babies, the more you got to baby them. But you got to baby them, but you still got to be tough. You know what I'm saying? So they're like the oldest, like the baby or whatever, and they get their moves, they get their attitudes, and it's like, okay, no problem. You mad today, but let's just get through this workout. So now you got to be, you got to be that parent that says, okay, look, well, let's just get through this over with, then you can do whatever you want the rest of the day. And then they do the
Yeah.
workout, and then they're like, no, coach, I want to do more. No, that's it, go home. I mean, I got what I wanted out of you. Go home. Down there, oh, you got me, coach. See you tomorrow. Peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to watch their body language. I do. I can't speak like I say. I watch their body language when they walk through that door. And I watch them as they're getting ready. And I'm like, sometimes I say their mind is not into it. And there's times I say their mind is into it. You can just tell. You feed off their energy. And sometimes you got to be able to get your energy to make theirs get more positive. I mean, so it's a lot. It's if you love your job, it's a lot. Because I've seen trainers, man, fuck that guy with his attitude. And it's like, no, it's not about that, dog. It's not about you showing him. No, it's not about that right now. It's that we got to get him across this finish line. But it doesn't start fight night. It starts in training camp. I'm saying
when
training camp, we get ready so when he gets there, he can cross that finish line.
when is actually no, I'm gonna take a step back. So when you see a guy and he's sparring, or maybe he comes into the gym and he's looking like shit, he's not feeling it, and he's not saying it. Are you protecting him from wrecking his confidence by sparring bad rounds and getting into
Yeah,
a negative
because
groove?
it's like, why do that?
Yeah,
Because what happens is confidence is going to drop, or they get discouraged. Or sometimes guys don't. Sometimes some of these fighters don't think they can have a bad day. I'm saying they think, oh man, I can't have a bad day. It's bullshit. Everybody has bad days. I don't give a shit who you are. You could be a 20-time world champion. You're not going to be great every time you step in that ring in the gym. You just might wake up that day and God's going to be like, you're going to have an okay day today. But the guy you boxing, God's saying, you're going to have a great day today. So I tell them the bad days is the days that we got to figure out how we're going to get through 4 rounds. Just 4. Mentally, just figure out how you're going to get through 4. I mean, just in case you get in a fight and something like this happens, they can say, I've been there.
yeah.
I figured it out. You know what I mean? So a lot of it is mental, man. It's more, to me, it's more mental than physical because when a fight's over, I'm mentally drained. Like my body's like dead. You know what I mean? People are like, why are you so tired? I'm like, you don't understand, man. Like, because, like all fighters is different. There's fighters that once you in the same room with them, they're not going to speak to you. They just, I had a fighter I used to train. And he called me and said, yo, man, meet us in the lobby. I get down to the lobby and he have like 7, 8 guys with him and I'm walking in the back and he just said, buddy, I'm like, I'm here. He's like, okay. And he just want me around for like an hour. That's it.
Yeah.
They be like, all right, buddy, all right, you go back to your room. So everybody like, yo, man, why do you stay in the room? I said, because I don't know when this motherfucker's going to call me. He can call me at any motherfucking time. You know what I mean? I don't want him to call me. If we're in Vegas, he calls me, and we staying at the MGM, but I'm at the Bellagio. That's that. You can't do that. You know what I
You
mean?
got to
So
be
I just,
ready.
yeah. So I stick around until they're like, yo, buddy, I'm good for the day. When they say I'm good for the day, you got a champ. You sure? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, no problem. Then, but until then, they keep the phone on and stay nearby because you never know. I'm telling you, they're like kids. Hey, coach, come to my room. You go to their room, and they could be playing video games with their friends. They don't want shit. They just want you in the room.
I've seen that. I get where you're coming from. How do you now? Let's look at this. I haven't asked anyone about this part of it like this. So it's fight week. You're in whatever. Say it's Vegas. You guys are at the MGM. He's playing his video games, staying loose. Are there certain things you look for during the fight week to make sure he's staying focused? Because it seems like there's so many distractions in that week that you didn't have for the 6 to 8 weeks beforehand.
Yeah, yeah. I tell by the conversation. By the conversation, the way they're talking. They're talking about silly shit. It's like, this motherfucker mind isn't there. They're talking about shit that makes sense. I mean, they're like, okay. Sometimes guys can talk about crazy shit and you're saying to yourself, like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? That's not what, you know what I mean? And it doesn't necessarily have to be about the fight. They don't have to talk about the fight, but it's just the conversation that they're having at that point in time. And you look at them like, I've been with you for the last 5 weeks. You never brought no shit like this up. Why are you bringing this shit up? I'm saying this to myself. Why the fuck you bringing this shit up now?
Yeah.
So obviously there's something in your mind that's fucking with you. You know what I'm saying? Or they like, yo, coach, man, did you see my guy today? My opponent? Was I supposed to?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's strange, man. The things these guys come up with sometimes, man. It is crazy, man. It is. You can't really explain it to people because a lot of people won't understand it unless they've been there in that position. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I've been in championship fights, but I can't tell a quarterback who's in the Super Bowl and it's fourth and goal and they need a touchdown to win. I can't tell him how to handle that pressure because it's a totally different type of pressure.
Yeah.
I can't tell him, yo,
No
man, I
doubt.
understand where you was at. He's gonna look at me like, no, the fuck you don't. Because he's gonna be like, just like I can't tell you what it's like. You look up, it's round 10 and you still got 5 more rounds to go. What pressure you go through mentally. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and like I said, I always tell people, if you haven't been there, like, how can you tell somebody else how to handle the situation? I
No
mean,
doubt.
if you haven't experienced it at one time or another, whether in the corner with the fighter or in a fight itself, if you never experienced it, then, I mean, you could guess it, but sometimes that guess might not be good enough.
It's also, I imagine there's.
Huh?
You go on. I'm sorry I interrupted you,
No,
buddy.
no. So that's it. I mean, it's just a lot, man. And but like I said, you gotta love it.
So let's say hypothetically you this is not going to happen to you in this upcoming fight, and hopefully it never happens again or it rarely happens. But say you go into a fight and it's the fight week, the guy's saying some crazy stuff. Maybe it's about his opponent. Hey, how does he look? Does he look big? Or maybe it's about a girl. I'd imagine that's a big one, right? They're having girl problems and they came out of camp and they're hearing a lot of stuff or whatever. How do you intervene, or do you intervene? Is there anything that you have to change at that point?
Yeah, sometimes like they're handing you the ball and see what you do with it. So you got to take it and make the best of that possession at that point in time, with conversation wise. And if you can redirect them and then their whole attitude changes, then you're okay. But if you can't redirect them now, you're like, fuck. I hope his mind changes tomorrow. His mind frame, his mindset. So it's a lot, man. I mean, a lot of people just, I mean, but you can feed off the energy, but more importantly, they feed off the trainer's energy. Like the fighters looking to you like your dad, like dad, a big brother, like, are we safe now, big brother? I mean, when you go somewhere with your daddy, you say, yeah, I'm with my dad now. I'm going to kick everybody's ass. Or you might kick my dad's ass. You know what I'm saying? So they feed off your energy. So you got to keep that positive energy no matter what. You got to keep that positive energy. Because sometimes when, you just give them a look and they feel that powerful vibe, they're like, yo, coach, I'm going to fuck this motherfucker up tonight. Then you're like, got him.
So it's your confidence, them following your lead. So it's not
Yes.
necessarily even saying a thing. It's them looking at you and knowing, hey,
Yes.
this guy's got me.
Yeah, they look at you and they're like, okay. And I just tell them, yo, don't stress it. They're like, nah. I said, what is there to stress? Like, you're right, coach. Like, you did everything right. Now it's time to go put it, perform. I mean,
When
I don't do all the hyping and screaming. I don't do all that shit. I don't do. I just keep it simple. If somebody else want to do it, cool. But I look at the fighter like, we got it. Don't worry. They're like, all right, coach. Everybody else want to holler and scream and all that. They can do all that. I don't do all that.
Yeah, you have a really calm and steady demeanor. Do you ever feel like maybe in training camp? But yeah, I was gonna say training camp or fight, but we'll say like in a training camp, if you see a guy and he starts to wane a little bit, and you've done all the things to try to redirect him, and he's not redirecting, is there a point where we get like a mean buddy? Buddy like just
It's
gives it to him
not
straight.
not mean, but I'll just sit him down. Hey, look, check this out. What the fuck you want to do? What are you gonna do? We're gonna dribble and shoot. You know what I'm saying? So I'll see where the head is at, like throughout the day, and then I see I want to talk to you later. All right, coach, no problem. Everything all right, coach? Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Then we'll meet, and I say, look, earlier today you said something. Boom, boom. What's going on? Oh, coach, you heard that? Yes, I did. What's going on, man? Then boom, because sometimes they say stuff to see if you're paying attention, because they're asking for direction.
Got you.
I'm saying, because I could be talking, I'm listening to the fight all the time, and I won't say I'll wait. I watch his damn. See, oh, I'm gonna talk to you later. What's up, coach? I said, man, everything's fine, man. I'll talk to you later. All right, coach. Boom. Then when I get with them, I say, man, look, earlier you said A, B, C, D. What's happening? Talk to me. Oh, coach, you heard that? Yeah, I heard it, motherfucker. What's the problem? Then they'll let it out.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll let it out. They see if you're paying attention. It's like raising kids, man.
Yeah. Yeah, when they go to their room and it's like you say something, they go, yeah, whatever, and you go, what did you say to me?
Yes.
What was that? Yeah, that is so crazy. I don't think people realize that boxers, fighters, these men who fight for 10 rounds, they handle this
Hey,
stuff kind of like that too.
when I was fighting, we had 15. So it's a whole. People say, oh, it's 12 rounds now. Oh man, it's only 3 rounds. I said, let me tell you something, bro. Them last 3 rounds, it's something that you can't explain.
Yeah,
It's just
and
separate the men from the boys.
what's crazy too is you watch those 15-round fights, and it isn't like they were pacing. It didn't look like they were pacing themselves for 15 rounds compared to what you see in a 12-round fight now. You didn't see that from any of those guys. You didn't
No,
see it from Basilio or from Tony Zale. You didn't see it from Sugar Ray Robinson. Like these guys went. I mean, went all the way up until they stopped doing 15-round fights. These
exactly.
guys went and worked every round. It was crazy. It's like guys lost 3 rounds of stamina after they got rid of it.
Right.
Um. So this is actually one thing. If I'm misremembering this, just call me out on it. But I can recall, I believe at one point you had said you don't watch tape on opponents. So if your fighter's fighting an opponent, you can know like is he a boxer? Does he come forward? Is he back up? But you're not looking for anything in tape. Is that
No,
accurate?
that's very accurate because I believe that when you go to war, you don't have time to study the enemy because you don't know what attack they're going to bring to the table. So if you prepare for any and everything, you got all the bases covered. But if you train, for just one specific thing, and then the guy don't do that, and you're still waiting and waiting and waiting, and before you know it, the fight's over. But now, if you prepare for, listen, what could he possibly do that you haven't seen? Okay, oh man, the guy's a puncher. Okay, we know he's a puncher. Okay, so now let's sharpen up the defense. But what else can he do that you haven't seen? He can't kick you. He can't hit you with a. He can't hit you with a spinning backhand. I'm saying. So
Yeah.
the fighter might come to me and say, "Yo, coach, I was watching the tape last night. And he does this." I said, "Okay, no problem. If you watched it and you saw that, okay, we're gonna work on that. But if you think I'm gonna sit down and watch that shit, no, because
But you don't.
there's nothing they can do that I haven't seen. What can they do that I haven't seen?
What if it's the other way though? What if it's something? I'll push back just a little bit to make some good conversation out of it. So like, let's say a guy, you notice he throws the jab and drops his hand after. He has a tendency to do that. Couldn't that be an opportunity that you see and go, oh shoot, he doesn't realize
Or
he's doing it. His coach didn't say it.
or it could be a trap. But here's the thing: if he does it in the first round, okay, does it in the second round, okay, throw a feint at him. See what he when he throws a jab, feint after he throws a jab and see what he does. If he doesn't throw a check hook or anything, next time attack. Sometimes it can be boom, setting a trap for you. So like okay. Well most guys do the first 3 rounds, they're gonna do the whole fucking night if you let them. I
No
mean,
doubt.
you know what I mean? So nothing changes. So you sometimes the guy's doing something, you say, okay, give him this look now. See how he handles this look. Let's try it. Let's go to plan B. Let's try plan B now. Try this move instead of that move. See how he reacts to it. And then boom, you see how he reacts to it. Boom. Now we're gonna put A and B together now. Mix it up, B and A. Till we figure out what's gonna work for us each round as we go along. We'll find the remedy as we go along.
That's
But
true.
if we go there looking for just one thing, shit, we could be waiting all fucking night.
That's a good point. And I think typically guys, if you're fighting a good fight against a guy, he'll typically revert back to what he's always done. You know, I like so many fights, you see a guy and you go, what? Like I remember in Ryan Garcia versus Haney, and the fight, but I forgot who he had fought before that, but Ryan Garcia had a fight before Haney. And in both of them, he started doing like a sort of a Philly shell, but he rolled all the way back to the ropes, right? And he was giving up his flank. It was really
Right.
weird. He did that against Devin Haney for a half a round, and Devin Haney's like, okay, and just starts pounding him to the flank because it's like, okay, you're just giving me that. He read it quickly, starts pounding him. He comes right back to fighting like Ryan Garcia. So it is true. It's like there could be some changes they make, but tendencies, but ultimately they're going to be the same fighter. It's in their DNA.
Once the heat of battle gets in play, I mean, and then that's when you got to make, that's when you got to say, okay, he's expecting this. When you do this, he's doing this. So let's do that, what we worked on. So when I train guys, I train them to do any and everything and to be able to mix it up when need be, to be able to put it all together when need be. So not to just focus on one thing. Nah, can't do that. Because if they figure you out, then what are you going to do?
Gotcha. So that brings me to the next point, and it's funny because I've mentioned this person many, many times because there's a very pointed question that comes with it. Arturo Gatti, right?
Yeah.
A guy who so many times would try to box and box well. He was a pretty solid boxer, and ultimately, in almost every fight, reverted back to just firefights. When you coach a guy like that, once he reverts back to a firefight, what does the whole game plan change
No,
at that
no,
point?
you come back to the corner, and I'll say, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
And look at me. That's not what we prepared for. You could make this easier, you could make it hard. If you listen to me, you make it. It's going to be hard, but not as hard. And that's how I used to get him out of it. I'd be like, yo, what are you doing? Okay, you got his respect. I just box him and play it safe. He's going to come to you. You don't got when he was fighting Mickey Wood. I said, you don't got to look for him. He's going to be there. Just don't get in no exchanges. But then in the last fight, when he broke his hand, he had no choice but to get an exchange. But it was late in the fight when Mickey was a little tired. So So I didn't mind because Mickey was a little tired. So, I mean,
Why do you think a fighter like him or I don't you I mean there are plenty of guys like that, like a Ruslan Provodnikov or Mickey Ward's another example. Why do these guys always, even when they could probably box, why
you know,
do they want to brawl?
I trained Ruslan for a fight, and he stopped the guy. But when he went to start to get into the exchanges, when he came back to the corner, I was like, "What are you doing, champ? You don't got to do that with this guy." Okay, coach, just go out there and do this, this, and this, and you can get him out of there. And he did. He knocked the kid out. He fought an undefeated kid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just got to have that communication with them.
So you believe that there, because other people have said like, hey, it's a point of no return. If you plan to box and a guy starts brawling, you're going to be coaching a different fight. But you're saying no,
So
you
could do that if you teach them in the when you're working in the gym. Yeah, man, and they're having a war in the gym. I used to tell Arturo, I say, listen, if you keep this up, you might have a black eye, bloody nose. He goes, yeah. I go, so you can't go play golf because you got to go now and fucking put ice on your face. He goes, I don't want to do that. I said, okay, so stick to what we're working on. And when you're done, you can go play golf. Because, he always had to look pretty, Arturo. You know what I mean? That was just his thing. So he's like, all right,
yeah.
coach, all right. Or what I should do with him, when he starts slugging in the gym, I'd stop the round and start it over again. He goes, what are you doing? I says, well, we can make this a 3-minute round or a 20-minute round. Choice is yours. Do what I'm asking you to do. And then that's how I used to get him. So in the
I think
fight,
that
when I got his attention, I said, when he looked me in my eyes, I said, I got him. I mean,
is that sort of training him to redirect in training camp. So he starts recognizing this is the signal. This is what I do. I've done it
yes.
before. Got you.
Mm-hmm.
That's also wild that you caught on to the fact that this guy, most people, you don't want to get hit because you're going to take punishment. It sucks. For him, it's like, hey, you don't want to, have a black eye. You're not going to look pretty. Is that just getting to know these guys?
You see, also when I started training him, his legs were still good. Like he could still bounce around. So I'm like, yo, why are you getting into these exchanges and these wars, man? I'm like, you don't need that shit. I mean, sometimes you might have to stay in your ground, but you don't got to do it. The hell with pleasing the public, man. I said, you can box them beautifully, throw combinations, and please them all. And that's what he started doing. So I mean, sometimes you got to get it. You got to get in their head and get their confidence. That's more important. You got to get their confidence.
How long does it take to get to know a fighter well enough that you can extract that stuff? Where like these are the buttons to push on a guy.
That's a tough question. I couldn't give an answer on that one.
Is that because all the fighters are a bit different?
Everyone's different. It takes some fighters longer to trust you than other fighters. I mean, it's you got to get their trust. And some fighters have been screwed over so much they don't trust no motherfucking body. I mean, so once you get that trust, then you got to know what to do with it. You got to handle it with care.
When you're going in, coming back to the week of the fight, I was just thinking about this. You spending a lot of time in a hotel room, relaxing, maybe not relaxing. I don't know what you're doing. You could be working or whatever, but I have to imagine there's sort of a switch that has to get flipped when you come down into that locker room for the fight. Is there something you do before the fights to make sure you're, in the right headspace, or have you been doing this so long? It's just it's so automatic.
I watch TV, or I watch a movie on my iPad, or I go to YouTube and watch some old school fighters. And depending on where I'm at, I go take a walk. I mean, something just to keep my mind occupied because I don't want to think about the fight until we get to the dressing room. And then once we get to the dressing room, my switch turns on. But the switch is on, but I'm still relaxed because the fight is staring at me, looking at my body language. So I got to stay relaxed. They said, buddy's always relaxed. So if they see me hyper and going on, they're going to be like, what's wrong? So I stay relaxed. I sit there, I crack jokes with them, go out, see some fights, come back in, talk about somebody in the audience, talk shit. Just to keep some amusement in the dressing room so everyone's not wasting their energy thinking about the fight.
Yeah. Like it kind of comes back to what we were saying though. It's kind of like parenting. So like as a dad, something crazy happens in the family. I'll give a good example. I can recall it was like a couple of years ago. We were going to look at dogs to adopt, and a cane corso bit this woman's lip. She's one of the handlers. They're bringing in dogs to see to adopt, and this woman just gets her lip ripped in half. And my kids see it. I'll be real with you. As soon as I see that, if I'm alone, I probably shout something crazy. You know what I mean? Like, oh
Right.
my god! Like, what the fuck? What happened? But if the kids are here, and I go, you just hit that switch. You go calm. You go, oh my gosh, let's go over here real quick. I want to show you something different, and sort of keep them calm. They're like, what happened? You're like, well, it looks
Right.
like there might have been, but you want to stay calm so they're not freaking out. Like, oh, dad
Exactly.
can't keep it together. Do you, given all that though, do you ever go in and feel those nerves raw, or are you legitimately feeling calm on fight night every night?
I'm calm because if I know we've done everything, only thing I ask myself is he gonna start out doing what we worked on? Because I know if the guy starts out doing what we worked on, we're gonna be okay. If he doesn't get too caught up and go out and do something different. But once the bell rings and I see him come out, I'm at ease then.
Wow. So there's anxiety built up just to that first 20 seconds of the
Once
first
the
round.
bell rings and he walks out that corner, throws that first punch, I'm good.
But buddy, why on earth would anybody change? And I'm asking this as someone who has never done your job, right? Why on earth does any fighter go in there and do it differently than what they've worked on for 8 weeks,
Because
right when the fight
sometimes
starts?
because sometimes you have people around that gets in their head and tell them you should do this. Oh, I saw a tape of him, you should do that. He's gonna be looking for this, you should do that. It's like, yo, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, shut up. We know what we got to do when the bell rings. So, but
Is it?
you get so many. See, this is the only sport where people can hang around the sport, and after hanging around the sport, they become an expert. They never threw a punch in their life, but they're an expert. So, this is the type of shit you got to deal with. So, sometimes I believe you just got to watch who you got around you, around the fight week, because somebody can say just one thing and mess up his whole vibe. Somebody can say one
Yeah.
wrong thing and fuck up his whole vibe. Now, I used to tell guys when I was in camp, don't ask me how I feel the week of the fight. Say anything to me. Don't come, hey, champ, how you feel? Don't ask me that. Because if I told you, you wouldn't know. If I said I was scared, you couldn't help me.
Yeah.
So don't ask me. You know what I mean? Or the worst question. The worst. Are you ready? No, I'm not ready. I just bust my ass for the last 5 weeks. I'm not ready, man. Hell no, I'm not ready.
It just sounds like the most appropriate question to ask if you aren't in that corner. You know what I mean? If you're an outsider and you see your buddy, you haven't seen him in
When I
like
go in the
8 weeks.
dressing room to see other fighters, I never say, "Are you ready?" I just say, "Yo, handle your business," and that's it. Yo, you ready? Yo, how you feeling? No, I don't ask them questions. No. It's too fucking late.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, "Well, what, you gonna help? Can you help me?"
I don't think people realize. I'll be honest with you. Look, it's not like I was some established fighter. I had some amateur fights, right? One thing I learned quickly was you don't like, and I thought it was just me, being like a big chicken or whatever. But I learned from other fighters. All fighters have a level of anxiety going to that ring that takes courage. Differently, sparring is tough, but like going in front of the bigger the crowd, you have all these people that came just to watch you, and the anxiety of going into confrontation is always there. I don't think people realize that fighters are like, I don't want to say they're shitting their pants, but like there's a lot of potential anxiety they need to control before that first bell.
Mine was there until the bell. Once the bell rings, I was good. I used to be like, "Hurry up, fuck the announcement, just say box, ring the bell."
Yeah,
And I'm the same way with my guys. Once the bell ring, I'm like, "I'm good now. We here." We had the prom. Let's see who takes on the prom queen.
Yeah. Um, I know you were. I don't know the exact timetables, but I had met Hector Roca years ago. This was, I want to say, like 2017 maybe.
I
And
was I was his first world champion.
yeah, and for what it's worth, everything that he had said about you was so positive, and he thought so highly of you. But
Well, buddy McGirt, what you doing, buddy? He should say to me in the gym, buddy, what
yeah.
the fuck you doing? What the fuck you doing, buddy? I don't tell you to do it like that. Do it like this, okay? Don't be so fucking stupid, dummy. That's Hector.
he's
I
he's
was
the
his,
man. And,
I was his first world champion. God bless him. You know what I mean? God bless him. I spoke to him. I spoke to him a week before he died, man. I called him in
yeah.
the hospital. I called him in the hospital. I said, "Yeah, Hector, when I get back from the UK, I'm gonna come see you." And he told the nurse, "That's Buddy McGirt, my son. He used to call me his son." And when I got back from the UK, he passed away, man.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he was my man. He go, "What the fuck you doing? What the fuck?"
You know what the thing was? He had no idea who I was. I just happened to be in New York. I did a little trip with she was then my fiance. And we were just going around. I was like, I really want to see this gym. And Hector was there. And once you went in there, never met me in his life. He just saw some dumb guy walking around, a fan. And he talked to me for probably 2 hours, man. And just was just so many great stories, but he's just such
Uh,
a welcoming and kind dude. I mean,
and when I
just
was
a
training with
great
him,
person.
his English wasn't the best, you know. So I'm fighting for my first. I'm fighting for my world title, and what was that? In Corpus Christi, Texas. And he goes, "Buddy, we in Coco Crispy." I said, "What?" He said, "We in Coco Crispy, brother." I said, "Nah, man, we in Corpus Christi, motherfucker."
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I miss him, man. I loved Hector, man. He taught me a lot. I learned a lot from Hector.
I was gonna ask, like, what did you learn? Obviously, you learned a lot as a fighter, but as a trainer, I'm assuming he's really close to you and helping you along that path. What were some of the primary things you really learned from him?
About being relaxed as the fighter and as the trainer and keeping it simple. I mean, don't try to reinvent the wheel. It's round. It's not. If it's not round, it's not a wheel anymore. So he just always kept it simple, and he always explained everything to me. He goes, "Sometimes you got to talk and tell the people how you want to do it, buddy. You don't say nothing, they're not going to get it." I said, "Okay."
Yeah, that's spot on. That's good. Um, that's a what's crazy? That's such a common theme too, is keeping it simple. Whenever I ask guys, when guys say, you just keep it old school, it means keep it simple. Don't add
Keep it
in
simple.
don't add in all these levels of training and sports science. Just do the
Yeah.
hard things right repeatedly. Focus on the
I see
details.
guys do shit, man. I just like, I don't say that. I just like, you know what's the funniest things I see is like I go on my Instagram and you see these guys analyzing the old school fighters. I'm saying to myself, you have no fucking clue what you're talking about, man. Like, but hey, to each his own. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm happy for them.
You,
You know what I mean? So
no, I disagree a little bit. Only because I think you need to. There has to be some respect for the sanctity of what this sport was and what it can continue to be.
that shit is gone, man. I see guys on Instagram, man, giving boxing classes, and they're explaining shit about this and that. And I'm saying to myself, you probably never had a fight in your fucking life.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
until
know,
you've been in that ring and got punched in the fucking mouth, or got knocked on your ass, fought 10, 12 rounds, how you gonna tell me? How you gonna tell me what to do if you haven't been there? If you haven't done that, how you gonna tell me? Not a matter of fact, no. How can you show me if you haven't done it? You could say something you heard on TV from another trainer, but can you show me? Like I tell guys, if you do 5 rounds on the mitts, and I ask you, what did you just learn, and you can't tell me, you just wasted fucking 5 rounds. If you do 5 rounds on the heavy bag, I said, okay, what did you learn? And you can't tell me nothing? What'd you do? All right.
That's the whole process of teaching. It's
Exactly.
learning something versus understanding the why behind it. Um,
Right.
no, it's interesting as I think about that. One thing, this is just for me. You've got a keener eye than I do and a way more experience. But for me to even really understand what a guy is doing in a match, I have to watch it at half speed. If I can slow it down, then I can see those movements and go, oh, like it makes more sense to me. In real
Yeah.
speed, it's, I mean, it's great to watch good boxing, but I couldn't really tell you strategically what a guy did well in a round.
No, I
I
got
can
you.
roughly say, you know.
I got you. I
Um,
got you. I have
but
to soon. I gotta go because I gotta go train Dylan.
I got you, no problem. So I'll hit you with just one more, and then I'll let you get out of here, buddy.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So real quick, uh, lately it's weird. I've come across a lot of people from Brooklyn in working. You know, people who I've worked side by side with. And you're before I get this wrong, you're from Brooklyn
No,
originally, correct? Like this?
no.
No.
I'm
Okay.
from
So what
Brentwood, Long Island.
Brentwood, Long Island. You're not from Brooklyn? Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm asking the wrong question. I thought, yeah, okay, so that's a mistake that I made. But
No problem.
even to that regard, I guess it is slightly different. I mean, it's different. But how much does New York coming up in New York affect you? Like, how much does that build you as a trainer? How much of like your dynamic and how you can speak to people and
The best part about that was back then in the gyms, the old trainers, the old school trainers, the young fighters respected them. I did. So if I got a chance to be around an old trainer, I'd sit and pick his brain for hours. Even if I was done training and there was an old trainer, like if Ray Arcel walked in the gym, I'm going to sit and talk to Ray Arcel for at least an hour. If Eddie Futch walked in the gym, I'm going to sit and talk to him for at least an hour. And one time I was in Vegas a week before Eddie Futch died. I was talking with him, and we talked for like 2.5 hours. And when I was leaving, there was other trainers in the gym, and they said, "Yo, man," I said, "What's up?" They said, "Why was you over there talking to that old motherfucker, man?" I said, "Yo, man." I said, "What that man forgot, you would never learn." I said, "I think you should show the man some fucking respect, man." I said, "The shit this man knows is unfucking believable, man." So with that being said, like in the gyms in New York back then, you had Times Square boxing, Gleason's was in Manhattan. I mean, and you had all these gyms, man. And then I used to train in Jersey. See, I used to travel 3 hours when I was fighting pro. I used to travel 3 hours one way to the gym every day. Trained and 3 hours back home. So, and my manager was good friends with Jersey Joe Walcott. So I used to sit with Jersey Joe Walcott, pick his brain. The great Georgie Benton, sit with him, pick his brain. So whenever I got a chance to get around any old school fighter or trainer, I would pick their brains. I mean, I would soak up everything, and that's how I learned how to fight, and that's how I learned how to train by listening to them and asking questions.
just having that humility and
Yeah.
wherewithal to say you don't get many opportunities to meet a guy like
Nah.
this. All right, then I'm sorry, one more quick question. You can answer it as quick as you need to. What would you say to the younger trainers? We kind of talked about some of them, might be social media focused, maybe not focused on the real boxing. It
I
happens,
think
but what would you encourage them to do?
study the old school fighters and study the old school trainers. Let me tell you what I do sometimes. I'll pull up an old trainer's name on YouTube, watching him work the corner, and I'm not watching the fighter. I'm listening to what he's telling the fighter. I mean, I'm listening to what he's telling the fighter. In case my fighters get in that same situation, I know what to tell them. Because these old guys, they keep it simple and it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So, and I was always told you gotta make that 1 minute seem like it's an hour with the fighter. You know what I mean? First thing I tell guys when they sit down, take a deep breath, relax. Lay back, put your legs out, relax. Like you're watching TV. Slow your breathing down. And then boom, that's what I gotta say. You know what I mean? I don't yell, scream, cut, no. I ain't, no. You know what I mean? So I learned a lot from being around all those old gyms in New York, man.